Don't settle for less. As a man, never settle for less and always have standards. Settling for less will actually give you less expectation than you thought that you deserve. So don't settle for less. Always have standards. Yeah, man. Welcome back once again. As you heard the topic, man, this one's for the men out there who think that they should or think they're obliged to settle for less. And I'm here to tell you, man, don't settle for less. The world or society, the way it's set up these days, it's going to hand you stuff or things, or people are going to come their way, right? Or going to come your way, rather. And they want you to kind of settle for less, right? They're going to give you substandard stuff, right? Give you things that aren't really worth your time. Could be anything, right? So what I'm here to tell you is that don't settle for less. And always have standards. Man, the thing is, if you are going to settle for less than you have bargained for, right? Or less than what you deserve or what you think you deserve, right? You're not going to be happy. You're not. Your whole life will be substandard and probably below average. Now you know, as a man, we're supposed to strive above average, right? Being average meaning that you should not just go about your daily lives doing all sort of things that the normal do, right? Well, I'm not saying don't be normal, right? But I'm saying just don't do what normal people do, because you'll get caught up the same sort of scenarios, same situations as the average person, and you don't want that. And if you settle for less, you're more likely to actually find yourself in very normal and stupid situations, especially stupid situations. An average life really isn't worth living. Average life is very mundane. It's repetitive. You're just moving along just to get along. You don't want that, and that's basically substandard, right? As men, we're supposed to explore. As men, we're supposed to go about in our way doing things that are extraordinary. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying go out there and do all sort of things that will go against society and things like that. No. I'm just saying do things that you know are of good, but not many people are willing to do. You should remember that not many people are willing to do certain things. That's why they settle for average life. So, raising your standards, right, and making sure your standards are high. Whatever that things that you think are good for you, things that you like, things that you like participating in, right? Don't settle and think that, hey, I just go with this. Especially if the thing is something that you're settling for something that will not make you happy, right? Or that's something that you do not enjoy, or you won't enjoy in the long term, right? Settling for less than what you think you deserve will always give you that FOMO, fear of missing out, that sort of mentality that I deserve more, right? Now, I'm not saying be greedy and shit. I'm not saying go out there and start buying all sort of things or be greedy and lustful. No. What I'm saying is that, right, whatever that you think is of high value, that is of your worth, go for it. At times we may compromise for the meantime, right? You may not have a choice. Remember, at times I always go by the mantra. At times I go by the mantra that says beggars cannot be choosers. But this only comes when you need certain things, right? For that period, maybe period of time, right? However, you're not settling for that. It's just that certain situation or that certain item or certain thing is just a stepping stone to where you're going. A good example is if you're living in a ghetto, right? Let's say you're living in a place that you're not satisfied with, right? And you're willing to work hard to move from that place to another place, right? A place that you think you deserve. It's a place that is much more safer, it's much more conducive, it's much more of your like, right, of your taste. It's better, the environment is better, people are better, they treat you well, they understand you, work towards that. In the meantime, you will be in a place that you don't like at that moment. But if each and every day you're working towards improving yourself, developing yourself, and having a plan to move away from that mentality and that situation that you are in, then eventually you will get to a place that you want, right? And that's because you do not settle for what you think is not worth what's not worth to you, right? So what does this mean? It means that we as men have to kind of always be raising standards. That's a way of improving. It's the meaning of improving, self-improvement, developing, right? Seeing the best version of ourselves. We have to be raising standards. Now, when we're raising standards, let them be realistic. We have to be within that frame of realism. We don't want to go too high such that we are incapable of raising to that situation. For example, if I dream of going to live in a place, let's say like, hey, very, very high-end place, right? And I know that my income does not really accommodate that place. I can't really be too drawn into that mentality that I want to live there, right? When I know that my income does not actually afford for me to get there. However, I can be realistic, right? I can be realistic by moving towards a place that I can afford, but it's kind of similar to that place, right? Any environment, right? Has a similar environment, similar place, similar people, similar situation, sort of, right? That's being realistic. You don't want to go out there and live a life that's fake. That's not raising standards. Now you're keeping up with the Joneses. And that's another thing. Don't fall into the trap of keeping up the Joneses, thinking that you're raising your standards and you're not settling for more. You're not settling for less, rather. Keeping up with the Joneses only gets you into a very vicious cycle. Right? It will get you into a place where you're always trying to catch up. You're not raising standards, but you are catching up into other people's standards. Right? It's a trap in its own. Other people raise those standards, right? And then what you're trying to do is catch up. That's not good, that's not healthy. It's not a healthy way of living. Keeping up with the Joneses is never a healthy way of living. You're not even improving on anything. What you're doing, you're trying to mimic people, trying to emulate people and do as they're doing, thinking that most of the time that's because you're trying to fit into a situation that you are not, that you can't fit in, and it's a trap. You can't keep up with the Joneses. But raising your own standards means that you have to develop your own standards, right? Your own self-awareness, right? Improve on what you have, what will make you happy. Which means it does not matter what kind of things that you have. For example, if someone's driving a brand new BMW, or let's say a brand new Mercedes Benz, you don't have to ride. If you cannot afford that, or it's not your thing to drive a Benz, you do not have to buy it or have that. Maybe what you can afford is probably a 2015 version of that car, right? So what? That's your own standard, right? You buy that because that's your own standard, right? That's what you can afford. You don't have to keep up with the Joneses. Those who can afford the latest whatever item it is, for this instance a car, that's them, right? But if you cannot afford, you don't have to try and prove to yourself or prove to anyone that you can do it, because you're going to fall into the trap. You're not raising standards, but you're trying to catch up into other people's standards. That's what I'm saying. You have to raise your own standards. Your own standards is what matters. Your own situation is what matters. Now, you don't want also to move below standards. Like I said, make sure whatever it is that you're getting or whatever situation you're in is temporary, if it's not what you think you deserve. So it means that you still have to work hard, work towards what you want. There's no way out of that. You still have to work hard, work towards what you want or whatever you're trying to achieve, right? So whatever you're trying to achieve, whatever you're trying to get out of life, make sure they're of standard. Make sure they're of what you think you deserve, what's worth your time, what's worth your money, right? What's worth what you deserve. Otherwise, it will be tough to actually create a life that you are happy with, because you always try to be competing with people, right? You'll always be miserable if what you have or the situation you're in is not up to par to what you think you deserve. So, to wrap up, make sure that anything that you try and get is worth your time, your energy, and your own resources, right? It's worth the value that you are trying to create for yourself, right? The standards. Don't fall into the trap of trying to keep up with the Joneses. You'll never be happy, you'll always be miserable. Why? Because keeping up with the Joneses means you're competing with others who probably are way better at competing, and in that area they're probably way wealthy than you are, right? And you don't know where they get their wealth from, right? And they probably deserve what they have, and you're competing because you think that you also deserve it, while in actual fact you do not, because that's not what you are used to. You probably are used to something else. Now, without self-awareness, without self-development, without self-improvement, it will be tough for you to know exactly what you want in life. That's why you may fall below standards. Make sure you know what you want. Your self-awareness. Self-develop yourself. Have self-development towards yourself. And make sure that you raise your standards as you improve your life, so that you don't get stuck in normality. Trust me, you do not want to be the average guy. If you want to leave a legacy in this life, you have to raise your standards. You have to be top notch. You have to be someone who's always improving. And we just said, it's been your boy Alfred once again. Till next time.